Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Alicia Shea. I'm the Director of Operations over here at DepositLink, and I've been working with Tristan over the last couple of years, just with getting KW Coastal Lakes and Mountains set up with DepositLink and kind of offering these trainings to the agents. For anyone on the call that's not familiar with DepositLink, we are an online payment processing platform that will allow you to request and accept payments electronically directly to the brokerage. So it's a great alternative to the standard collecting of checks or driving to go pick up any funds or things like that, and an alternative to a wire. So for today's call, I'll be sharing my screen. I'll walk you through just some of the basics of using DepositLink. Please feel free to jump in with any questions. I can be long-winded, so feel free to stop me, and then also I'll be keeping an eye on the chat as well. So just feel free to put any questions in there, and I'll kind of periodically stop for those as well. But let me go ahead and start by just sharing my screen. And if I could just get a thumbs up if everyone can see that. Perfect, thanks so much. So one thing I always like to start off by saying is DepositLink is a mobile responsive site. So there's no apps for you or your client to download or manage. It's all done just through depositlink.com. So Tristan will assist everyone after the call with getting set up and getting their passwords ready. But essentially, once you're set up in DepositLink, you can just come to depositlink.com at any time. And you would just click on sign in the top right. And you would just put in the email, your KW email address, the password you've created. If you get that welcome to DepositLink email and you don't get around to creating a password right away, that's okay. You can activate your account at any time here. So once you're set up in the system, you can click activate your account, and that will allow you to create your password and get logged in. So again, I always like to bookmark this page just on my laptop or desktop. I would just save this here, and then this is how you'll access your account every time. And let me go ahead and log in. And we do use two-factor authentication to log when you're logging in. So that will text you over a code to your mobile phone. You can enter in the code here. And then we do have the option to remember this device. So again, where we're a mobile responsive site, you can use your laptop, desktop, mobile phone, tablet, any device that has the internet. You simply just go through that device's browser to depositlink.com, click sign in, and then you can also remember the machine that you're on. Once you log in, DepositLink will land you on your deals tab. So if you're new to DepositLink, you won't see anything to start out here. We don't bring in over anything historically, but as you start to use the platform, you'll see your deals start to populate here. These are always sorted with the most recent up at the top, and you can click on view to view any additional details of your deal, which we'll come back to. But for most folks, this is where you'll land when you kind of get that first offer signed and you're ready to use DepositLink. And this is where everything really begins. And you'll start the process by clicking on this request payment for sale option, and then choosing the earnest money deposit option. So I am in my demo site, so a few things may look a little bit different, but for folks, that's where everything will begin. Again, on your deals tab, and then clicking request payment for sale. This will take you into the create a deal workflow, where it'll always start by asking you the property address. And as you start to type a property address, it will try to predict based on your location. But of course, with new development, or maybe we just have an address that's a little picky, or the address is just very specifically lined out in the contract, you always have the option to manually enter the address as well. So however you'd like the deal to appear, you can add in here. Otherwise, if you are just typing it in and you see the property that you're looking for pop up, you'll just select from the list. And then you'll see DepositLink will give you the option to create a new deal for that property address. As you kind of get used to using DepositLink, it will also do a quick search to see if you already created a deal. So in the instance, maybe you're collecting a second deposit, you can go right into your existing deal and you don't have to have any duplicates. But properties sell more than once, so of course you always have the option to create a brand new deal for each property. So I'll leave this as create a new deal for 500 Main Street. The next option is I'll select my role in the deal. And I think based on the last training we have, in most cases, you'll be holding when you are on the listing side. However, we do have the option if you can also, if you're on the buy side, it's the same workflow that we're about to go through. Just I'll show you the extra step for how when you're a listing agent, you can loop in a buyer's agent. So in this case, I'll go ahead, I'll say I'm the listing agent. I'll click continue. And then that takes me into the payment information screen. So here I'll start off by entering in the amount that I'm requesting. And through this process, you can request up to $250,000 per transaction. I'll go ahead, I'll say I'm just requesting $1,000 for that initial deposit. Next, we can set our deadline. And by default, the deadline sets itself to about 48 hours out, but you can lengthen or shorten this by clicking on the calendar icon. So let's say maybe this is going to be due next Tuesday at 4 p.m. I can set that here. The benefit of the deadline is it's going to send reminders to the buyer to complete the payment if they haven't already. And those reminders will go out 12 hours, 8 hours, 4 hours, and 1 hour before this deadline. Next is the payment destination. And this is one of the benefits of using DepositLink is it's going to default to the company bank account. And we know for those of you, especially that work in multiple states, this is going to automatically default to the correct state's escrow, and it's all going to be based off of the property address. So if you're an agent that does business in both Massachusetts and Maine, again, if you put in a Massachusetts address, it'll default to the Mass escrow. If you put in the Maine address, it'll default to the Maine escrow. So there's no banking information for you to know or share. It's all been set up for you on the back end. And then once we've entered in our payment information, we'll go ahead, we'll click continue. And again, now because we did create this as a listing agent, we have two options. We'll always have the option to request the payment directly from the payer. So if you're lucky enough to be working both sides of the deal, or you know the buyer's agent, they're comfortable sharing the buyer's email address with you, you have this option and you can send it directly to the person making the payment. If, however, and I'm sure those of you who work on the listing side are familiar, a lot of the times when a buyer is working with their own agent, that agent may not be too eager to share their client's contact info. So we understand that, and that's why we have this option where you can actually send the request through the buyer's agent for them to connect their client. And that way it gives them that peace of mind that their client's contact info will be kept confidential. You'll, of course, have enough information that you need to see for proof of payment, but you won't have access to their email address or phone number. So I'll go ahead, I'll choose request through buyer's agent. Again, another benefit of DepositLink is this other agent does not need to be a DepositLink user. It's great if they are. You'll see once you put in their email, it'll autofill. Otherwise, if it's an agent who's never used DepositLink, that's okay. You'll see it just won't autofill any information, and we'll just add in their name and company name. And we'll go ahead, we'll click continue. Next, these are all optional fields and they can be added now or they can be added or edited after the fact. So as an agent, if you wanted to get to the last step to review and confirm, you could click continue. Just to mention what's available here is we do have this payment notification section. This allows you to add additional recipients to automatically receive copies of the receipt once the payment goes to posted and cleared. So this is a great section if you have an email for, let's say, maybe the lender or the attorney. You can add them here, and that way it automatically will email them a copy of the receipt. Also, especially if you're doing this on the buyer's agent side, you can add the listing agent here, which is a great option so that they'll automatically get a copy of that receipt when the payment clears. But again, it's optional at this stage. You can add it now, you can add it after the fact. Same with sales price and closing date. These are for your reference, just between you and your admins. So you can add them now if you'd like, or you can add them later. And then reference code, I always do like to highlight. Again, it is for your reference, but this piece of information does show on the PDF receipt. So a lot of agents might include an MLS number or a listing ID or a file number if they have it. And then last but not least, we also have our document center. Again, completely optional. This is just an internal storage and sharing space between you all and your admin team. So if you did have any related documents that you want to just store, make accessible in DepositLink, you can add them here, but it's nothing that gets shared externally with a buyer or a buyer's agent. So again, all optional at this stage. If we wanted to skip right over, we could click continue. And this takes us to our review and confirm page. So here we'll see we're requesting an earnest money deposit, property address, destination, deadline, all of that. We can see that we are sending this request to this agent at this email. And then we also have the option to add a memo. So we could put something just like offer deposit. And if everything looks good, we'll go ahead and we'll click request payment. And success. So this has now triggered an email to the buyer's agent for them to connect their client. And, you know, if it's someone you're familiar with, and, you know, maybe we know here, Tim doesn't check his email, you do also have this copy link option. So if you wanted to, you could click copy link and you could paste it into a text thread that you have with the agent. You could put it in an email that you send directly, and it will take them to the same space. And also you have your view deal details page. So if we click on this, I'm a big fan of this page. I think it gives a lot of insight to where everything is at. So you can get there right from that success screen, or at any time from your deals tab. If you just click on view, this is what we call our deal details screen. So you'll see your property address, deal ID. You have all of that deal info here, which again can be edited just by clicking on the pencil icon. You have that document center. So if at any point you have a related document, you can upload that here. But most importantly, you have your payments section. So as an agent, this will give you a lot of insight to where this payment's at. So currently you can see we're waiting for the buyer's agent. We can review the destination. You can hover over the current status. Also, you have the ability to resend the email. So if I was to click this right now, it would send it to the buyer's agent. Once they've connected their client, you'll know that this status will update here. And then when you click resend, it'll resend the email directly to the person, again, without revealing that person's email to you. You can also get the link for this transaction at any time to send. And then also as agents, you do have the ability to edit the deadline. You can update the payment notifications recipients. And then you, of course, also have the option to cancel. So if for any reason you do need to cancel, it will just disable any related links and stop any reminders from going out. But before I change gears and show you the buyer's agent and the buyer perspective, I know that was a lot of information to throw at everyone. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer?
I
do.
have one question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This is Alice, and the question I have is, if you are the buyer's agent, but you're also the one that Keller Williams is keeping the deposit and putting the money in escrow, and it's not the seller's agent that's doing it. When you were up here, you said you have to say if you're the buyer's agent or the listing agent. Will it let you do that?
It will, yep. So if I just go right back to the beginning here and I choose the earnest money deposit, as soon as I put in my property address, I can say if I'm the listing or the buyer's agent. So if I was the buyer's agent and we're holding the funds, you can absolutely use DepositLink for that. And so we'll say we're the buyer's agent, and then it just takes you through the same workflow. But instead of having the option to include a buyer's agent, you're just going to add your buyer right here. So you just would need your buyer's email address. But that's a great question. Anyone else have a question?
I have a question. So if my team lead has a listing in Maine, but we're holding escrow, right? But our office is in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So how does that work?
So that one, the way we have it set up is it should go to the escrow account for that state, and it should know based on the address that's entered. And Tristan, I don't know if you want to just clarify if that's how it should work, or if there's any reason, if an agent from a New Hampshire office, if they're doing a deal in Maine, should it ever go to New Hampshire? It should always go to Maine.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So so it's all dependent on how you put in the address when you are first creating this transaction. So if you put in something that is Maine, it's gonna on the back end link to our Maine escrow account. Even it doesn't matter that our main office is in Portsmouth. It doesn't matter if you guys are in North Conway. It's really dependent on wherever the state is that's entered in when you're first creating the deal, is it's going to link up to the correct account. And we've gone back and forth with these guys to make sure that every time that you guys put in a state, it's going to go to the right one.
That was another great question. Let's see, any other questions before we change gears a little bit? All right. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to log out of here really quick. And I am going to hop over into my email. So again, for the scenario that we created the first deal for, this is now the email that the buyer's agent is going to receive. So it'll have your name as the agent, your company name has requested you connect your client for payment. Emails are all co-branded with the company logo. We have all the property and payment details here. And the agent will simply click connect your client for payment. Before I move forward, I just always like to mention all of our email communications do link to our support team and have all of our security and partner information. So we try to make folks feel as comfortable as possible using DepositLink. If they do have any questions, whether it's another agent, the buyer, anyone involved, they can click the link here to reach out to us via email. And then we're also available through phone and chat, and we're available 7 days a week. So we do have a dedicated team that's available for you, other agents, buyers, that we can troubleshoot or answer any questions, to not take away time from the agents. But from this email, the buyer's agent would simply click connect your client for payment now. They will see, so again, this person does not need to have an account. They don't have to log in or anything. It takes them right to this screen where they have all of the details on the left. They then decide for this $1,000 payment, is it one person or multiple people splitting the payment? So it's really great because they, of course, know their clients best. So if it does need to be split up, they can choose how many people, how much each person is paying. Otherwise, for this type of deposit, if it is just one, they can click that. And all they need to enter here is that person's email address. You can see there is a space for first and last name, but you'll see in the next step, the buyer verifies that information on their own. So all that's required is their email. And then the buyer's agent, now because this request is coming from them, they do have the option to update the memo. And once they've entered that, they'll just click continue. And then they just review and confirm that everything is correct. So address, deadline, who they're sending this to, amount, and memo. And if all looks good, they'll just click request payment. So when you're including a buyer's agent, it's super simple. It takes them just a couple of minutes for them to make that connection. And it really does give them that peace of mind that, they're not sharing their client's information with you. But once they've made that connection, again, we can see it was request successful here. That's going to generate an email to the buyer to complete the payment. And again, they can click the link from the email. The buyer's agent could also copy the link from here and text it over to them if they'd like. It will take them to the same place. But any questions on the buyer's agent's role in this scenario? All right. Hopping back into my email, this is an example of the email that the buyer will receive. So right in the subject line, it lets them know they've received a request for payment. It includes the property address. Again, in this case, we're holding the listing, so our company logo is still included in the email. However, because we did include that buyer's agent, it has their name and company name. So it's very recognizable to their buyer. So they're like, okay, Tim's mentioned we were going to make the payment this way. Here's an email that mentions him directly. We then have our property and payment details. Again, they can reach out to our support team, review our security and partner info. But once the buyer is ready to make the payment, they'll click pay this request now. And once they click that link, it will take them into the payment screen. And here we go. And then again, it's co-branded with the company logo. It has your name as the listing agent. So if they need to get in touch with you for any reason, they have that. And then they have all of the property and payment details here that will follow them through this experience. And so they basically have 2 steps to complete. First is to verify their identity, which they'll do just by entering in their basic contact information. We do ask that they create a password. That way, it just makes it that much easier for them to keep track of their payment, get copies of the receipt, and especially if they're looking to make a second payment, they can log right back in to make that within seconds. And then, so they'll put in their password. They can then review our terms of service and their privacy policies, and then check the boxes to agree. And once they've reviewed and agreed, they'll just click continue. And this takes them to step 2 where they can connect a bank account. So we do have our first 2 options here. These are both instant options to connect to a bank account. First being through a third-party service called Plaid. For those of you on the call that use Venmo, Plaid supports Venmo as well as a number of other financial institutions. And this is a great option. It allows the buyer to connect using their online banking credentials. If, however, anyone is hesitant to that method or they don't online bank, we also partner with a company called Gyact, where they'll just enter in their bank's account and routing number, and it will kind of go through some verification steps and just verify that instantly. If for any reason, maybe they bank with a very small bank or they don't allow for these type of instant connections, once someone tries one of these, and if they can't connect that way, it'll give them option 3. Option 3 is they'll enter their bank account and routing number, and it will trigger 2 small deposits to that account. So the reason it's kind of option 3 is it is very reliable, but it can take a little extra time. So I would say of the 3 options, option 1 and 2 is what's used 90% of the time. And of that 90%, probably 90% uses option 1 and goes with Plaid. Before I move forward with connecting a bank account, does anyone have any questions on the 3 options? All right. I'll go ahead. I'll follow the crowd with the most popular option that we see people use, and I'll choose Connect with Plaid. And that is going to launch the Plaid window. We'll click Continue. All of the most commonly used banking institutions are listed right here on the front page, but Plaid supports over 11,000 different institutions, and that includes smaller banks as well as credit unions. So the buyer can search for their local bank, select from the list, and then they would log in just as they normally would on their bank's website. Once they've made that connection, Plaid will show them their available accounts. And once they get to this screen, they can't do any other banking, no transferring, anything like that. They're only able to select the account they would like to use for the payment. And I'm in my demo site, so my balances don't change. In the live site, when someone connects through Plaid, it does do a quick balance check at this point. So they'd only be able to select an account that has sufficient funds at the time. So I'll go ahead, I'll select checking. I'll click Continue and Continue. And then the final step here is just to review and confirm my selection. So again, as the buyer now, I can see I selected my checking, my name, property, amount is all correct. This is where it does introduce that processing fee, which is just a flat $15 fee per transaction. And they can hover over this icon for some additional info. And then so we'll see our new total here. And if everything looks good and I'm ready to send, I'll click Send Payment and send payment again to confirm. And success. So now you as the listing agent who created this deal, whether you're the listing agent or the buyer agent, you'll receive an email letting you know that this payment went to pending. And then there'll be a link that you can log into your account to view the transaction, get a copy of the receipt. Also, the buyer and the buyer's agent will receive that email with copies of the PDF receipts attached. And you'll all continue to get those emails as the status updates to funds arriving, posted, and cleared. The buyer can also forward or download. So if they wanted to forward a copy right to their lender from here, they can do that. They'll also, because they created a password, can log in and send one and download and send one from there as well. So I know I just kind of wore a few different hats and did a couple different roles here. While I'm just logging back in, did anyone have any questions from the buyer's perspective on how to make a payment? Alrighty. So a couple other things I just want to show everyone. Again, I'm just the agent now, logging back to my account. If I wanted to open up that deal, I can do that right from my deals tab here. I'll click View. So you can see this is a little bit of an updated deal detail page where again, because I had a buyer's agent involved, I can just see the buyer's name. If I hover over, I can see that they completed those 2 steps we saw. I can hover over the status for some additional info. I can view additional transaction details from here. Also, you can download a copy of the PDF receipt from this screen. And let me just, so again, that's kind of the how to navigate the deals tab. Let me actually just go back. You also have access to your transactions table. And this is a really great page. I find a lot of folks will spend their time here because this is going to show you everything in your account in real time. So as you're sending requests, payments are coming in and statuses are updating, you'll be able to view that here. By default, it just shows you the last 2 weeks, but you can kind of update this if you want to look at it on a monthly, weekly basis. We also have filters where you can look for specific statuses. You do have the ability to download this table as a CSV. So if you like to keep kind of a hard copy for your records, you can do that here. Also, this is a great place to download copies of the receipt when you need them. Again, you can go through the deal detail page, but this might be a little bit quicker. And you can simply just click download receipt at any time. And then this is just an example of the PDF receipt. So it's co-branded with the company logo. It has the property address. It'll always reflect the current status and note when it was updated. And then it has all of the payer and recipient info. So anything someone needs for proof of deposit is all included here. We also have our status definitions down at the bottom of each PDF receipt. You can also, again, you can click view to view those transaction details from this screen as well. And what I really love about this page is you have your full transfer history. So you can see exactly what time a request was started, when it moved to pending, funds arriving, posted, and cleared. And just for folks, a little background on our timeline, and you can kind of ignore these ones. I manually move these, so they're a little off. But our typical timeline is once a buyer has completed those 2 steps and they've clicked submit, the transaction goes into this pending status. All pending transactions are processed at 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Once those are processed, the following morning on a business day, they move to funds arriving, sorry, I can't talk today, funds arriving, and then by the end of that day, they'll update to posted. What posted means is they should be either posted to the company account or the company will be able to see them coming in. And then within just a day and a half of that, we'll send out the cleared notification. We do give it that day and a half just in case there's any issues on the payer side, but we usually say it's about 1 to 2 business days for the company to receive the funds. And again, you can download your receipt from here. You can also get back to your deal detail screen from this page just by clicking the deal ID up at the top. And so from an agent perspective, that's really everything. I do want to show folks that might oversee a team, just a quick kind of additional feature that they have. But before I make that change and then go over our help page, I know we covered a lot today. Any questions at all that I can answer about timeline, things like that?
I have a question, not for a sale, but I saw there's an option to request rent. And is there a $15 transaction fee for every, rent that you're requesting?
Yep, any request that's sent from DepositLink is there's going to be a $15 fee paid by the payer, whether it's a tenant or a buyer.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Quick addendum. So just where we normally don't hold rent for any transactions, and this stuff is only for escrow. So this should not be used for rent or for commission from landlords or anything like that. Just a heads up.
Yep. Thank you, Tristan. Thank you for the reminder. So you may not see the rental button when you log in. I believe we have adjusted up for the sales and the earnest money deposit. That's kind of one of the benefits of deposit. We can kind of customize the buttons a little bit.
Got it. It was a personal question, really.
Oh, okay,
but yeah,
perfect.
thank you for that clarity. And Tristan, I take it that we would be using, like, once the payment has posted and we can download a copy of the attachment to that transaction, and we would be uploading that to Command, and that would act as our hard copy for first escrow.
Correct. Yep. And I would recommend waiting until it hits cleared status to download it. But posted status is fine too.
Okay, great.
Yep. And then also as agents, you might have noticed we do have our daily update screen. So you will get a daily update email, and that will give you a summary of the posted and cleared transactions from the previous day. So you'll have that coming into your inbox. You can click the link or come to this page at any time. And this is a great way just to kind of get a quick summary of anything that might have been going on in your account. And I picked an agent that doesn't do too much here, so there's not a lot of summaries in here. But it is a nice page to be able to kind of pull up here. Again, you can also see that information in your transactions table, which this is all in real time, which is great. Awesome. So really quick, just two more quick things for everyone. I'm gonna log in as a team admin here. And let's hope that this password works. Here we go. So for those of you who might oversee a team or an office, again, I'm logged in now as a team admin, so you can see it looks very similar. In addition to my deals and transactions table, I do have the ability to view the agents assigned to my team, which is great. So you can kind of keep an eye on that. If there's any updates that need to be made, you can update that here. But really the benefit of having this admin access is that you have the ability to create deals and transactions on behalf of the agents you oversee. So again, same process. You'd start on the deals tab, click request payment for a sale, choose earnest money deposit. We'll put in our property address, but you'll see now you have the option that you can leave it as I am the agent. So if you are also the agent on the deal, you'll just leave it as that, or you can select the other agent. And I just have two agents that are both admins on here, but you can select that other person's name, and that way it generates under their account and their name will be on the emails, but you can do this on their behalf. So again, it's nothing we necessarily advertise to agents so they don't bug you to do it. But it's a nice feature to have. And for those of you who are agents that have an admin that kind of helps you out, you can let them know that they can do this for you if they'd like. But again, that's the only difference really. So for folks that are team admin, you just have that additional agents tab and you can have that ability to help out your team members. I also like to mention we do have our help and training page. Again, we do have that dedicated support team. They're available by phone, email, and live chat. And they're available again, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, half days on the weekends. We also have a PDF and videos available here. So if anyone needs a quick reference, these are available for you. And then we have some great miscellaneous documents. One that I always recommend is the buyer and renter overview sheet. This is a quick one-pager that you can supply to a buyer directly or to their agent. That just has some general information about DepositLink, the fee, and it has links to our security page and to our support team. But let's see. So I know we covered a lot today. Anyone have any comments, questions, feedback?
I do have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I'm signing up, am I registering myself as admin? I am an admin. And then that's my first question. And then my team lead, when she signs up, then would she have to create a role for me as her admin under her account?
So
is it like, are they linked, or is it just on one?
So the great thing about working with DepositLink for so many years is that you guys are already set up in DepositLink. You guys just haven't been activated yet.
Okay.
So your team is already in. So once, since we're at the end of this training, I'm going to release all of your activation emails. So you guys will get that within the next hour. If you don't, please let me know. But as soon as you guys log in for the first time after you go through the activation email, which will help you set up your password and stuff like that, you guys are ready to rock and roll.
Great. Cool.
I have a question.
Yep, Susie, go ahead.
Question. So this is only for escrow deposits that Keller Williams is holding, correct? So
Correct.
If we're a buyer agent and another agency is holding the escrow, we still have to get a check and give the check to the other agency.
Correct.
Okay.
You can offer, you can ask if their agency uses DepositLink. I don't recommend because there is a way to do it so that you can request it going to another brokerage. I don't recommend doing that. It gets really messy. But yes, if we are holding the DepositLink, we have to be the ones who are starting the transaction. But if it's somebody else, we can't control if they are on DepositLink or not, unfortunately.
Never hurts to ask. A lot of agents might not know they have it. But that was a great question. Let's see, anyone else? I know I ran a little bit over today, but I'm happy to answer any other questions someone may have. All right. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Again, Tristan's going to be sending out the welcome email to the folks that joined today. And if anyone has any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to Tristan and he can let me know, or to reach out to our support team and we are more than happy to assist.